as we come to the great announcement. For the first few years of his prophethood, peace and blessings be upon him, Muhammad was commanded by God to teach only his close friends and family. As the revelations came down, this small group of believers were bonded in such a special way, forming the foundations of a new way, a new society. They became a spiritual family with a unique life focus, a focus that had nothing to do with tribe, wealth, or material desires. And then one day the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, received the following verse: proclaim what you are commanded and turn away from the polytheists. He went to the sacred sanctuary and waited for a large gathering. Once he saw people come, he then climbed atop Mount Safa 15 feet above the area. He called out to the people, Quraish, come here. And as they gathered, he began to name his close family members one by one. I have important news for you. His character was his strongest quality, and he knew this, so he leveraged that in hopes to soften the blow. He then appealed to them, would you believe me if I told you there's an army approaching on the other side of that mountain? They responded, of course, we've never known you to lie. He then responded, the truth is that I was sent to warn you of a severe punishment. He then went on mentioning the names of his close family, saying, I cannot save you from the day of judgment and the impending punishment of the hellfire. Before he could continue, his uncle told him, is this what you have called us here for? I hope the rest of your day is ruined. May you be destroyed. And then God revealed the surah of the Quran of Abulahab. And then it said, Abulahab, his hands and what they have brought forth will bring upon him his destruction. And the rest of the surah talks about him and his wife ending up in the hellfire. Now, of course, this very direct set of verses from the Quran in a chapter called Abulahab, who would be the nickname, the father of fire, his uncle. His uncle would continue for the next 13 years trying to prove Islam wrong and trying to fight against the believers. All he had to do in that whole entire time was declare his faith in Islam, thus proving the Quran to be false. But obviously the one who is revealing this message at this moment knows that it would never dawn upon him, no matter how much he hated Islam, that all he had to do was claim to be a Muslim to prove it false. And so that is a standing miracle in the Quran. Unfortunately, on that day, none of the Quraish responded to the call, but many others heard it and became curious about what is this message and who is this man. And as people learned the Quran and met the Prophet, they began to convert. A young man named Arqam, who lived on the other side of Mount Safa in a nice obscure place, he offered his house as a daily meeting place. They would meet there and learn the Quran, support each other in need, and they would strategize their mission on communicating the message to others. The Quraysh noticed the conviction and dedication of these new converts, and they grew very impatient. They felt this message was an insult to their ancestors, to their culture and their social order. So they sent someone to warn the Prophet's uncle Abu Talib, who was giving them his tribal protection, and they told him, you must stop your nephew or else. Abu Talib went to the Prophet and told him, look, this is getting out of hand. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, responded, my respected uncle, if you were to put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, no matter what you gave me, no matter what you did, I would not give up this message. One day as the Prophet was teaching some poor believers, a group of Quraysh nobles came and asked, Muhammad, come speak with us. We would like you to give us a chance to talk. The Prophet took them aside and heard them and listened to what their concern was. They said very clearly, we are glad to sit and learn from you and understand this message, but you have to get rid of these poor people. The Prophet began to think for a moment about that request, and in that moment, God revealed the following verse. Do not turn away those who are calling upon their Lord morning and evening, seeking his contentment. You are not responsible for these people, and they are not responsible for you. If you turn these people away, the poor people, then you will become an oppressor. And this way we test some through others. And then they will ask themselves, how could it be that God favored these poor people over us? Doesn't God know who is the best of his thankful servants? This is chapter 6, verse 52 and 53 of the Holy Quran. In that moment, God is teaching them all a lesson that it doesn't matter how rich you are or what kind of nobility you are seen as. It is only the righteous and the pious, and those who would suggest to dismiss those who are weak just for their own benefit, they don't have any game. Again, if you're a false prophet, why sabotage your mission right when you have a good opportunity? And the proofs mount up over and over throughout his life.